Ring, ring, ring. Hello, priest.
Make it fast.
To Krown's magical crypto. Take your pants off.
Get your fucking witch hands away from my face. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's a glorious green dildo Monday, baby. Holy fuck, another bear trap happening over the weekend. It's almost as if it was programmed into the market. Anyways, with that said, we do have a lot to be talking about today. Has this changed around anything on the higher term time frame range just yet? Absolutely not, but there is hope. There is hope for the boo laws here, and to kind of put it bluntly, I do think that Bitcoin gets continuation of the $40,000 territory, as we have been saying for the last 2 to 3 weeks. This appears to be the moment right now, after a little bit of move like that, as we did see over the weekend. Well, that is typically going to be pretty damn confidence-inducing for the market. Anyways, how you doing? What's up, Mr. Robin Wars? Absolutely raging to the intro tunes in my car. Fucking love it, man. Yeah, that song is a song only to be listened to on a major, massive sound system. I'm a massive audiophile myself, so I definitely appreciate that, and I'm glad that other people out there are also making the best use of it. Anyways, if you are wondering what song that is Rage Against the Machine, Bulls on Parade with the Team Awesome or remix, whatever the fuck they call it, or rework, whatever the hell it is. Very impressive song from way back when, of one of my favorite bands, actually. Anyways, with that said, let's get now on over here into the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? We do see several things that are indicative of further continuations, as we did kind of point out over the past couple days here. We do see that Bitcoin dominance is once again heading up, so we do see a change of behavior right here. What is that change of behavior? We finally see, for the first time in a few months, really, where Bitcoin dominance is actually heading up alongside Bitcoin heading up in US dollar price action. So that is I think a good sign overall, because what we expect to see is that Bitcoin dominance does essentially go up, as long as Bitcoin is in a trending macro move. Now, a trending macro move can obviously be both to the upside or the downside, but seeing as Bitcoin is, once again testing the top side of the daily range here, I would say that this lines up for a little bit more continuation here. Again, there are still there's several things that are very concerning, we'll say, perhaps in the later $40,000 territory, but at least for right now, I think it is time to let bulls have a little bit of their own parade party. Anyways, with that said, Fear and Green Index is still stuck at a 28, which is rather interesting, as Bitcoin has more or less rallied about $6,000 from yesterday to today, at $34,000 low to about almost $40,000 high, hitting our first sort of target on that metric, and now setting up for further continuation. So I do like that overall, and open interest is further supporting this price action, as we do see almost $1 billion added to the books, and we haven't even broken, technically speaking, the top side of the daily range here. So this is more or less good, I would say. And all of this fucking, I mean, there's been such like a big meme within this market about the Finex shorts going up. I mean, anyone who's talking about that right now, to be quite honest with you, to put it just bluntly, these people probably have very little clue what they're talking about. The reason why I say this is not because, they're bad people or anything like this, but first and foremost, Finex is more or less an irrelevant exchange nowadays. I mean, there are several other exchanges that hold much more weight. And if you actually read the contract specifications, which most people probably do not, you can actually claim those positions off the books. So it could just be a cover for long long spot positions anyways, and that just becomes a ridiculous proposition anyways. So with that in mind, top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins. Do we have any winners for the last day? Actually, we do. Several. Even Bitcoin's on the list right there. Hey, not bad. Good job, Bitcoin. Love it. Love to see the old grandpa coin doing the best as well. That is still, I use grandpa as like a lovingly as like a loving term right there. But we got the Graph, AMP, Thorchain, this bullshit again, Aave, Hollow, Elrond, Theta Fuel, Theta, and Chainlink all actually having a pretty damn good day, which is rather interesting because these are a lot of the better acting coins that we have seen throughout this past upside market. On the top 10 worst coins, we got mostly just stable coins right here, which is typically a damn good sign, as most of the market is essentially enjoying in Bitcoin's prosperity. But as you can see, with the Bitcoin dominance going up, they're probably going to be not going up as much versus US dollar, except for, the select few, of which obviously all of these guys right here would be those select few. Anyways, with that said, let's go over here into the market data tab. Let's see what the funding rates are looking like right now. Remember, another big one of the sort of puzzle pieces that we were looking at last week was seeing negative rates around those sort of like bear trappy type areas. And yes, we do see that we no longer have negative rates except for Kraken, which is negative 0.01, which is nothing. But all of the exchanges are pretty much at parity here, except for OKX, which is 0.35, which is not anything too crazy, and FTX is a little bit lower than that. Again, not anything too crazy to be concerned about. So I still look at this as more or less neutral in the way that I interpret things. And then more importantly, what's very interesting to me is that the Fear and Greed Index is actually at the highest level that we've seen in like the past month and a half, going back to May 15th. But price action is actually still caught within a range, but showing a little bit of upside trajectory here. So I do think that overall lines up for something good. And then more importantly, whipping back down around to the Bitcoin dominance, we do see a macro change of behavior here. We do see a low, we do see a high, we do see a higher low right here, and it looks like we might be in the midst of putting in a higher high. So I feel pretty damn vindicated by a lot of these calls that I've been saying for the last 2 to 3 weeks here, as it takes a little bit of time to come to fruition. But if you've been tuning into this content for that time, this is a really, really good opportunity to kind of be noticing these things as, they're not necessarily going to happen at like the same fucking day. A lot of the time we get spoiled with these very, very fast market movements, and that's just not like real trading. That's not real markets. These sort of times right here is where you actually have to like really hone in your skills. And if you traded this secondary bull trap right here, or sorry, not bull trap, but bear trap. Fuck, no, I'm doing it too. Both the 31,000 and then the more recent one at about 34 or 35,000 bucks, then that is extremely impressive. I mean, these are not easy things to do. So I do want to give a massive shout out to anyone out there who is not just surviving these markets, which is also, pretty damn good after 50% drop, but also trading these bear traps rather well, because they are pretty damn difficult. And even at a high level of trading, it's always going to make you kind of guess yourself. But at the end of the day, that is like a serious thing to be doing. And what do you know? Bitcoin has its first fucking etching of a higher low on the daily. So we are going to actually have a few more things to talk about on the macro scale for potential macro low. I don't think it's in there just yet. We do still have a few more things to kind of confirm as well, but there are a few things populating themselves. At the end of the day, I still stick with what I've been saying for the past month now, that Bitcoin very likely takes its time in the 30 to 50, or maybe, yeah, we could just say $30,000 to $50,000 range for the next, 2 to 3 months perhaps, and we probably play out a move into the 40s, deep under the 40s, and then probably come back down into the mid 30s, maybe even low 30s. But ultimately, as long as blue laws can hold that, I actually do think that is the most bullish thing that Bitcoin can do here. The longer time that Bitcoin puts in kind of grind out this range, very likely the better the result will be at the end of the day, if you are looking for Bitcoin to have an upside resolution, which it's, I still think it's a topic conversation right here. Anyways, go check out the put call market and see what they're saying. This is actually today's expiration, so take this with a grain of salt. This is extremely low type of bullshit right here, but it would imply that we probably don't close over $40,000 in the next expiration, which is coming in about 3 hours here. After that, though, I probably would be looking for Bitcoin to mount a bit of an assault above $40,000, which can initiate more moves into the deeper $40,000 territory, which we'll talk about continuation points on top of that. Obviously, $35,000 strike is not in any way, shape, or form in danger of getting broken right there. So we can go check out the weeklies here. I'm curious what the weeklies will say. Yeah, it is very interesting here to see that the $40,000 call strikes are getting played quite a fair bit. This would be a bit concerning to me, so I will put that on the board there. Albeit, keep in mind, this is really not like a whole hell of a lot of open interest, to be fair. It's really June 25th that I still have my major eyes on. And June 25th right here is still suggesting that we probably do close above $40,000, but below about $48,000 to $50,000. So I do think that I do think that the rest of this month very likely does test into the deeper $40,000 territory. And then do I think that Bitcoin rejects somewhere in the deeper $40,000 territory? I do think that it is still relatively likely. And again, range would still be the main disposition that I'd have here. I wouldn't necessarily call new lows on top of that. Anyway, so let's go into the actual price action charts themselves now, and let's see what we got going on. And we can just cover up, or do we want to cover up yesterday's price action first? Yeah, let's cover up yesterday's price action first. So we'll go over here to our regular charts. We'll go over to CME. And again, this is why I do put the most weight on CME. CME chart coming into Friday closure was, I think, rather obvious. And this is why I was very hesitant over the weekend to say, hey, look, yeah, the charts look like shit right now, but very likely this is kind of like a strong possibility for a trap within this region. And what do you know? Bitcoin doesn't just pop back up to around where Friday did indeed close on CME, but it actually had a nice gap up open. So I really like this sort of thing when you do have a nice and well-defined range going on right here. And I would say that this extremely likely does line up for more continuation, probably over the next week or two, to the deeper $40,000 territory. Of course, we do still have the CME gap coming in right around here at about $48,000, and anywhere around there, I'd be looking at a little bit of pushback pressure for this right now. In fact, obviously, we do have a gap down around about $38,000 as well. I don't necessarily think that we need to fill that, immediately. And a lot of the times when you do have a very obvious consolidation range and you do gap up, around the top side of it, or, more preferably actually break it, which we have not actually done in this case just yet, then, you typically don't test that one like immediately. You typically, wait some time. And realistically, people mostly have gaps completely wrong to begin with. I mean, just because there's a fucking gap on price action doesn't mean that it's like a magnet where price action must come to like that exact moment. Fuck no. It just means that when price action does get there, you probably have a trade, on the opposite side for at least a little bit of a scalpy scalp. And in this case right here, I do think that this one's a little bit more likely to try to the upside first before having a little bit of a short-term pullback. Anyways, let's see what we got on our regular charts, as I do want to follow up on that. Let's talk about yesterday's price action. Remember, yesterday did come back down around that 34,500-ish pivot that we had lined up right around here. We said, hey, look, while this is a little bit concerning, yes, over the weekend, given the volume signature right here, and also given the volatility signature, which we pulled up as well, which was actually rather low, I would be looking at this as very likely a bear trap once again. So again, we had a bear trap right here and a bear trap right here. This is a fucking trap market, and that's actually a pretty damn good signal for, a nice move to the upside in this case. And I do think that the 200 simple is going to stop right here in the 4 hour. Very unlikely, except for, maybe a short-term move. Ultimately, as long as Bitcoin is now above about $38,000, I am looking for, a move into the $40,000 territory, plus a little bit more. I want to see the open interest also go up a little bit more alongside that as well. In the second that Bitcoin takes out the high side of this consolidation, which, what would we say this is right now? If you're looking at the June 3rd as like a really aggressive entry, I mean, I guess you could say that. Personally speaking, I'd still be looking at just under $41,000 for a wick or a daily closure above 39,300. If one of those two things happens, which obviously it's probably going to be the wick first, to be honest with you, I would be looking for a very quick extension to about 42,500-ish region to $43,000 right here, alongside the 200 simple moving average, actually, as it does kind of caress that region. That would be the next sort of short-term pullback area that I'd be looking for. Maybe Bitcoin comes back down, based around $40,000 after that. I don't have a strong opinion on that, but ultimately, that would be the base that I'd be looking for the next move to the upside, somewhere around $47,000 to $50,000. That's where I do see a little bit of potential issues for Bitcoin, as I would express caution within that region, not because it's destined to, reject and go all the way back down to zero or anything like that, but because we do have several things saying that, hey, this is not necessarily the time to be full-on aggressive. And realistically, if you're just thinking about this intuitively, or if you're thinking about this from a Wyckoff dynamic, look, Bitcoin took about 3 to 4 months to consolidate on the highs right here in a distributive fashion. Do you think that that's going to be resolved with just 1 month of consolidation right here? Very unlikely. The general rule is you want to see about the same time spent on the distribution as you do on the accumulation in order to have like a real, long-term reversal in these cases. So I do think that this is still, more likely to trade side within a range. for a while here, but that is more or less fine. And if we do want to go into our momentum charts right here, we can see that actually momentum on pretty much all time frames is looking pretty damn good right now. So I do look for further continuation to the upside, probably this week, maybe even today. We do see 35,700 is the magical number on the daily right here. 12-hour is obviously up as well. 38,500 is the magical number right there. 10-hour is freshly turning up in the bullish control zone, by the way. That's both the 10 and 12-hour, by the way. So I'd really like that sort of a read. And 37,800 is the magical number right there. 4-hour is suggesting 36.5, so way below that. 3-hour is 37 about. Bi-hourly is 39.5, and hourly is already flip-flopping around probably at 39,600 it looks like right here as well. So, you know, when we do see bifurcation within low-term timeframes between like the 1 through 4 hour, I usually do look for a little bit of a short-term consolidation, but based off the higher-term timeframes, I do look for that to ultimately crawl higher and higher. Now, that can obviously have major implications because it can lead on into the daily, 2-day, and 3-day. Obviously, the daily we already looked at was already up. 2-day is going to be up as well. And I think we actually closed that one last night. Yeah, we did. So this is actually just freshly confirmed right here. I really like this one. We also identified this over the weekend. That is, you know, typically a signal that does put in a bit of a trappy sort of behavior where you come down and kind of caress your lows essentially, and then pop up from there. And then this one's coming in from all the way at 33,500-ish region, and the 3-day is going to be closing tonight. And let me just double check. Yes, it will be closing tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I mean, this looks really fucking good to me. You know, the 20 symbol is going to be a natural target on this one, and that is all the way at about $45,000 to $46,000. And we do see that this will inevitably cross the upside with any sort of a closure above 36,300, we'll call it. So this is looking good, at least for a short and medium term continuation right here. I would not feel comfortable saying that Bitcoin is out of the woods yet until we get one of these two scenarios that I've been speaking about for a while. The first scenario would be the easiest and probably the least painful and probably the most welcomed by the blue laws, and that would be a daily closure above $50,000. Now, could that, is that a possibility of happening? I suppose certainly it is. Obviously, I mean, anything's a possibility, but what's the probability of it happening is the real question. I think that's a little bit less likely, to be honest with you. However, the second thing would be the three major sort of basing areas that the three major indications that I'd be looking for on like a macro low. Now, to be fair, we still do not have perhaps the most important one of them, which would be the hash ribbon signal over here. We're actually getting further and further away from even the recovery phase, which is actually kind of nasty for reference right here. But until we get a blue buy signal on this, I would be extremely aware that price action is I would be extremely aware that at the very best price action is still ranging, and perhaps we have not put in like a major macro low just yet. So this is still very far away, but anytime that we have seen a blue buy signal on this, Bitcoin has essentially confirmed a macro low on the low prior to that signal given. Except for one iteration, which was actually coronavirus dump times in March 2020. Anyways, with that said, all other iterations have essentially been a phenomenal basing point. And while it's not the best timer of like a buy signal, it essentially does give me the bias that, hey, Bitcoin very likely does have a macro low in here. The next two portions that I'm looking for are actually, pretty much already in there, actually. We do have a higher low on price action. This is the first higher low that Bitcoin's gotten since basically, months ago, actually. It's been quite some time, in fact. So I do like this right here. And we are potentially going to make a higher high, maybe even today, with any sort of a closure above 39,300. So if that happens, we have a daily reversal. Again, remember how fucking powerful trends are within Bitcoin on the daily specifically. That's what got us essentially bearish right around here when Bitcoin confirmed this lower high. We were on cautious lower high watch when Bitcoin put in its first lower low right here. And then this was your confirmation of, of your lower high, trend reversal, and then continuation below the last low. That is, very easy in hindsight, obviously, but it actually quite literally is in a lot of cases that simple for Bitcoin land. Now, if you're trading traditional, you probably want to do that in like a weekly to be a little more, confident with it. But in this case right here, Bitcoin actually does operate pretty damn well off of the daily trend. Now we have the same thing going on over here. We have a low. Now we have our first higher low. So it's kind of like the same thing over here. Now we're on higher high watch. And if Bitcoin can just trade, if Bitcoin can just close above this region right here, which I mean, it's literally at right now. If it literally just closes like a couple $100 above where we're at right now, anywhere above 39.3 would do it for me, then I would be looking at this as, hey, we do have a higher low and a higher high, and that satisfies the second major condition. So if we can combine that with the hash ribbon signal, that would probably be good enough for me to begin with. But the third one, and the most important one for myself, would be the BBWP, a volatility-based indicator over here, of which we are starting to see this one take off and actually get, expand once again, which I'm kind of split on this one, to be honest with you. And this is what what does make me think that Bitcoin ultimately will carry out a more long-term range within this region for the next couple months, because I really want to see this come down into the single digits. That is where you really want to see your sort of macro bases come in from. But we do have all the other puzzle pieces in it within it already, where we did hit a 100 percentile read on this, a couple times in a row over here on the initial dump, and then the couple days after, very similar to what you see over here on March 2020 on the coronavirus dump time, and also in November to December 2018 when Bitcoin essentially dumped from 6,000 to 3,000. Obviously, the other examples that we have were to the upside, so they're not as relatable to what we're doing right now. But ultimately, you can see on both of these examples right here from the 2018 dump and right here from the 2020 dump, Bitcoin the BBWP essentially trended down all the way into the single digits before really confirming that macro reversal. And you can see over here in 2019 when it put in that dump, it didn't get down to single digits until March, which, if you remember, March was literally right before this macro breakout right here from about 4,000 to 14,000 bucks. Pretty fucking impressive stuff right there. And that's like that's more than a 3x move, like not bad at all. And then of course you got coronavirus dump time over here. And when does BBWP get extremely low? It's not until it actually reverses all the way back up and regains all major movement averages right here. And that's really where I would have traded with confidence on this level right here at about $9,000 before, basically this whole last run, like 500, 600%, all the way up to $60,000 plus, which is rather impressive. Anyways, I'm sure that a lot of people are talking about an impending death cross on Bitcoin. Look, the problem with golden crosses and death crosses is that 90% of people have absolutely no fucking clue and have no business trading moving average crosses. Look, I'm actually a big proponent of, or at least moving averages are a big piece of my trading, especially when it's like more long-term sort of trend type of trading. But the problem is that most people have zero fucking clue how to use these things, and I don't think it's relevant for me to go over that in a video like this right now. We're just doing analysis here, but if you're in the TA program, you probably have a pretty damn good idea. And if you do peruse some of the moving average videos that I have on this channel as well, it'll probably give you a better idea as well. But as far as the death cross goes, I can already assure you that there's quite literally not like a concerning death cross coming in right here. This would be like the one that you'd look at as, okay, this is not the one that you want to play, essentially. Doesn't mean that it can happen over time, but in its current posturing, absolutely fucking not. At least I'd be severely pushing back on anyone who's, calling that out as like a legitimate signal for a continuation down to like, $20,000 targets right now. I think that's still a little bit well and far away, to be quite honest with you. Not that it can't happen, but my criteria now for looking for major new lows on price action is not going to be $32,000 anymore, or $32,500. We can now use this higher low right here at 35.5 actually on a daily closing basis. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, I'm not really looking for massive downside continuation. I'm looking for a range as it stands. Anyways, I do want to follow up on the Jewel buy signal over here, as it actually is doing pretty damn well. I've learned my lesson. Listen to the goddamn Jewel. And guess what? We did get that signal on the 10th of June. And, again, not the best timer right there. It did essentially, well, I mean, if you were trading CME, then it actually was. But in this case right here, we actually did drop a little bit lower, but that did end up being the higher low. And that's what was also giving us a bit of a bias that Bitcoin probably does, pull through this range at least for one more time. Now, I want to bring you over into some more now, or actually before we do that, also want to call out, obviously daily regular bullish divergence, 2-day regular bullish divergence, and I think even the 3-day did not have it, but ultimately this is actually looking even better to me right here, to be honest with you. The reason why is because typically when you do see these two moving averages kind of converge on each other, a lot of the time price action will come in to test around that region, and if we get any sort of a closure, even above the 55 in this case, which is actually 43,000 bucks, I really would be looking for Bitcoin to at the very least test into the deeper $40,000 territory. But let's talk about now why I'm a little bit not too excited about the deeper $40,000 territory, even though I think that Bitcoin probably does test around there. Assuming that either today closes above 39.3 or we just wick higher than about 40,900 on Bitstamp right there. Now, the reason why is going back again to the analysis that we've been talking about for the last 2 to 3 weeks here is the biweekly MACD. Anytime that we've seen the biweekly MACD cross to the downside, all 3 iterations in the history of Bitcoin have all been essentially bull traps with actually further continuation to the downside here. We can pull up this last one right on over here, October 2019. Bitcoin based upon the 20 simple bounces up and into the 9 exponential average, this blue moving average right here, rejects, and actually then bases on the 55 before further breaking it down, actually. We'll just ignore that right now. What about this guy over here? Same thing in 2018. Bitcoin based upon the 20 simple, bounced up into the 9x moving average, does reject, and down we go into the 55 before breaking down further, to be fair as well. And then what's the other one that we had before that? Way the fuck back on over here, crosses the downside right here based upon the 20 simple, bounced up above the 9x moving average, rejects, and down to the 55, and then further down for a while as well. So I do think that is a little bit concerning, yes, but I would feel quite confident saying that this time will be different in the most insincere tone. This time will be different if we can get those three things that we spoke about earlier for the bottoming signals. The hash ribbons must print a blue buy signal. We already have a higher low on the daily, and probably do go for a higher high, to be honest with you as well. And then of course BBWP. I would like to see that come lower, over time as well. What could that also mean? What could also be a potential with that as well? Like, let's say Bitcoin pops up to about $47,000, $48,000, tags CME's last open gap right here, and then rejects from there. Could it come back down, base around $35,000 or $40,000, and then perhaps print the next blue buy signal and maybe even a higher low on the weekly again as well? Perhaps yes, that would also be good enough for me to declare this a macro low, and Bitcoin's kind of out of the woods and probably just kind of grinds its way sideways and up, back up to $60,000 plus. Definitely possible. But, at the end of the day, I do think that it's warranted to be a little bit more on the cautious side here. I know that a lot of people are going to be getting very, very excited about this price action right now. I mean, you can already fucking see it, man. You can already feel it. And fair enough, perhaps it's warranted. But as a trader, I have to be thinking in terms of ranges and whatnot here. And I imagine that the investors out there, they're probably going to be excited once again. And everyone's going to get super fucking bullish once Bitcoin just gets around, mid, $45,000 or even $42,000 for that matter. Just as people got extremely bearish down around here. I mean, I don't want to call people out, and I don't want to and I don't want this to sound like I'm bad mouthing anyone, but I would like to be on record as saying this. Look, if there are people in this range right here saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to go down to $20,000 or $25,000 exactly from this region, this is a fucking classic move right here. It was extremely unlikely. I'd strongly push back on people who said that, and while I can understand their reasoning, I can also say you're kind of showing that you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about, to be honest with you. Again, that's, it's not a bad thing, but when people speak with conviction and are like, just, blowing up the fucking YouTube and Twitter horns and shit like that, it's that kind of stuff I think is a little bit silly, and people typically learn their lessons from that, as I have. I've made that same stupid mistake as well. So hopefully I can offer up both sides of that. But again, it's like, look, if someone was calling downside from here, I mean this is like about as obvious of a trap as you can get. Doesn't mean that it can't come down further in the future, but I was, it's kind of like always a thing on this channel that we're going to say, hey, look, it's a lot more likely to test the upside before continuation of the downside, if it's even going to do that to begin with. So be very careful with that kind of stuff, because it can be very seductive, right? It can be very seductive, but at the end of the day, man, markets are fucking markets, and this is. And that was, I'll just go ahead and say it. It was rather obvious, to be honest with you. Anyways, okay, should we check out our other things as well? Okay, so we spoke about the Jewel, we spoke about RSI, we did not speak about TSI right here. TSI is also breaking our long-term downtrend here as well. Or actually, no, it's not breaking it just yet, but it did break this one. That's not the big one for me. This one's the big one for me, and we're actually testing it today. It will actually continue above, credit to Caretaker on this one, with any sort of a closure above 35,700 about. So it probably does have a chance to do it today. If it does happen, I'd be looking for it to come all the way back to the neutral zone right here. That technically is not actually bullish. Again, like, let's say Bitcoin rallies up to $47,000, and then we see it start to turn around right here. That would be a damn good signal Bitcoin's going to come back down below $40,000. But for right now, I do think it's warranted to enjoy the green dildo party, as am I, and welcome back a little bit of movement and increased volatility within this market as we finally get the BBWP expanding for the first time in a while. I want to see that moving average get a positive slope as well. But I suspect with a read like this, it's more likely to give an initial pop and then come back down, base lower, and then that's where we really see the the real fireworks in this market happen. I would not be surprised at all to see this market get very, very boring once again later on into summer after like a somewhat exciting late June, early July. But for right now, I do think it's fun times, I suppose. Anyways, can we check out traditional markets really quick? Oh, what do you fucking know? NASDAQ making new all-time highs, or actually is it making new all-time highs? Maybe not. It's pretty fucking close. I do think I would stay with what I said last week. We did have our $14,000 target officially now, and I'm essentially looking for this one to make new all-time highs here. I know that this chart looks crazy, just like Bitcoin at $60,000. It looks fucking crazy, and at some time this will have like a major, massive pullback. But for right now, I do still stick with my long-term target about $15,000, and then potentially that could be a macro top. But for right now, this does bode well for Bitcoin. These markets are heavily correlated, as you probably already know. Same thing for SPY futures as well. I think we already have new all-time highs. Yes, we do have new all-time highs from last week. So now it is just a game of very, very brief continuation here. So I would be cognizant of potential swing failure pattern right around this level. That would be right around about 42.20-ish region on a daily total closure. But for right now, all is well. I do suspect that there's a little bit of animosity with this. That is not really what you would expect as far as volume goes on a major breakout. But what I would say is actually really, really good over here is daily BBWP is, flat as a fucking door, right? Flat as a fucking door right there. So if we are going to expand in this case, trend is to the upside. I do think it's a little more likely, to be fair. And we are in a posture for that. Daily RSI is strong as fuck right here. Multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence and back around the bullish control zone. I almost always like those reads. Daily TSI's just been bullish the whole way through. So respected, I suppose. And weekly is more or less the same signals there as well. So all of these things I do believe bode rather well for this market. Let me just double check that. Oh my God, I've been speaking for a little bit too long right now. Guys, you need to claw out your fucking eyes by looking at my goddamn hair and listening to my voice for too long. It's not good for you. It's really not good for you. Anyways, I think that's it for me. Just kind of cruising around the 4-hour. 4-hour RSI is fine. Looks healthy. It looks like it actually probably continues, probably even from here. Maybe be looking for a very short-term range between the 200s, and that probably leads us into the daily closure. And then yeah, I'd be looking for a move probably into the deeper 40s. There will be a few pivot points to the upside. Obviously, there's going to be this one's kind of the big one for me right now, and we are going to have a chance to break above it. 30 anywhere above 40,900 region. I would extend that run another $2,000 or so into this region here. I would be looking for perhaps a bit of a range between assuming that Bitcoin does get here about 43,000 bucks, a bit of a range between there and the 200s on the 4-hour. And at that point, very likely does set it up for further continuation drive, somewhere around $47,000 to $50,000. At that point, things get a little more difficult. But for right now, enjoy the action while we do have it. Has a 12-hour shown me anything of particular interest as well? I mean, it's just continuation here. Get another drive of Phantom Div from Caretaker's RSI, which who the fuck knows how this one works? Sir, are you okay? You okay over there? Elsa's having a laugh attack right now. Anyways, all right. I think that's enough for Bitcoin right now. I'll get on to the chats over here. Let's see. I think Elsa has them. Morning, Mr. Pedro. There it is. Love it, man. All right, Sam. Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing, man? Green, Fuar. We're all gonna make it, bruh. Marring these streams. You have been. Wait, hold on. Oh man, I just remembered the best fucking Z's meme. Oh my God, sir. All right, so we're gonna bring it up right now. Let's invoke the power of the Z's, bros. Motherfucker, it's not that one. God damn it. Internet's fucking me again. Do not fuck me this time. God damn it. What were all these Z's sites? All right, well, fuck it. I'll just do it right here. God, oh, you bastard. That's the wrong one too. You this is terrible. This is... Wait, what? The Zeesburgs of Death and... Hold on, that's not the right one. There we go, that's the right one. You have been visited by the Z's Bird of Happiness. Good luck and prosperity will come to you, but only if you post a thank you on this thread. Thank you, Z's Bird. Thank you indeed. We love you, Z's Bird. Please keep on showing us the green dildos of peace and prosperity, my friend. Shove him in me, baby, because my asshole already got wrecked by my doctor the other day. Jesus fucking Christ, man. That was actually very painful on Saturday. Anyways, Bitcoin Delphine says, hello, Sir Krown. Best of the best to you. Love you, sir. Love you too, Mr. Bitcoin Delphine. But are you a sir or zer? I do need to know that. Jack Aikman, what's up, man? Ethereum Bitcoin daily weekly. Okay, let's check that one out. Let's see what we got going on over here.
If you see this image while scrolling the photo page, you have been a visit by Disease Bird of Happiness. Good luck and prosperity will come to you, but only if you post "Thank you, Z's Bird."
All right, Ethereum Bitcoin Daily. Let's see what this puppy's doing over here. Okay, so we did get a bounce off the 55, yes, but this is not looking like the picture of health and fitness right now. With Bitcoin moving here and potentially threatening a bit of a continuation move, I do suspect that this does come a little bit lower. A little bit lower to the tune of like 6 million Satoshis, it looks like. I still like this one long term. This is still phenomenal chart long term. One of the better altcoin Bitcoin pairs long term. There's nothing bearish about the monthly or quarterly at all, which are going to be closing at the end of this month in about another couple weeks. I would remain bullish on these for the next 3 months to come, but that is going to come with some short term. It does look like once the short term come down a little bit more here. I also want to give credit to Mr. Sanctum in the Discord. He is using his harmonics to actually posh way to move lower on this one as well, and I think I'm starting to agree with him as well. I was potentially looking for a low right around the 55, but this is not what a low would look like in this case. So I do think that it probably comes down somewhere around about 6 million Satoshis. Again, that is short-term type of stuff. Long-term, I'm actually pretty bullish on this one, to be fair. So there you go. And of course, it does have its event coming up, I think next month. Is that right? The 1559 EIP. So, you do have a bit of a fundamental structure in there as well. So, I'd be looking for maybe short-term, medium-term, a little bit of downside, maybe around 6 million Satoshis. Long-term, though, I've nothing really bearish to say about this, at least for like the next, quarter or so. Anyways, moving on, we got Mr. A. What's up, Abbott? Hey, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, my friend. Massive respect, sir. I salute you and much love, sir. Hey, what's up, Josh? Appreciate that as well, man. God damn, it's just all positive vibes today. This is great. St. Lucifer is back. Hey, what's up, man? Your thoughts on a possible Dow theory sell signal incoming and the possibility of Bitcoin being used as a hedge? Okay, so I'm actually not familiar with exactly what you mean by possible Dow theory sell signal, but I'm very familiar with what you mean about Bitcoin being used as a hedge. Okay, so this whole Bitcoin being used as a hedge thing is complete and utter bullshit in my opinion, at least for right now. Perhaps at some later date, perhaps in some future distantly away, we could perhaps see something like that. But look, there is nothing at all whatsoever that tells me that Bitcoin is going to be a hedge for any sort of downside move, prolonged downside move in the real markets. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just go like a traditional markets. We'll look at like the biggest indice, the one that matters the most, which is going to be SPY futures right here. Look, these charts are more or less the same as far as the long-term does indeed go. When SPY goes down, Bitcoin goes down. When Bitcoin goes up, SPY goes up, more or less. I mean, it's more or less SPY leading in my opinion, but just bring it back to 2020. People were talking about a hedge. Buy Bitcoin for a hedge against inflation. Buy Bitcoin for a hedge against the inevitable collapse of the stock market. Well, guess what? 2020 did fucking happen. And you know what? This one went down just like the same sack of shit that Bitcoin did over here. In fact, if you want to be exact, I mean, Bitcoin went down about, 50%? More than 50%? Probably something like this. Yeah, 64% right there. And how far down did SPY go? Obviously, these are not apples to apples comparisons, but just kind of put a fucking shoe in this bullshit. 35% down. Look, technically speaking, this is a better hedge than that. If you want to compare it in that metric, obviously I don't believe that. What my main message is like, look, I know that this is like the sort of narrative of like the crypto cyberpunks and everything, and that's cool. I actually have a lot of respect for those people, but I think that they're completely fucking wrong about this. We have not seen any instance, not even one instance in the macro where Bitcoin and traditional markets have not been correlated on a higher term time frame, like a weekly or more. It is a nonsensical statement to say right now. I really push back against this type of bullshit that I see from very big accounts on crypto Twitter, especially, who mostly are tweeting these sorts of things as like a raw fucking cheerleading bullshit. Which sounds good. It gets the engagement, it gets the tweets, but is that reality? That has not been reality since the inception of Bitcoin's about 12 years ago now. So if we're if we're saying that, if we're looking at that, that is the fact. So what we can say is like, look, we've had chances to see Bitcoin act as a hedge in the past. It has not. It has not. And that doesn't mean that it can in the future. Perhaps it does, but realize that this market is still extremely immature. We are looking at a market cap for Bitcoin specifically that's like what, around 1 trillion, probably not even 1 trillion right now. That is fucking nothing. That is nothing. That is insignificant. That is a drop of piss in the ocean of the Pacific. It's absolutely fucking nothing. And for anyone to say that, for anyone to argue otherwise is, I mean, just look at fucking gold, for example. Gold has a market cap of 10 trillion and it's basically useless. Sorry, now the gold bugs hate me. But look, okay, it's not useless. I understand it's used in like some semiconductors and shit like that. You know, it has its uses, but you know, to put it bluntly, I mean, Bitcoin, which potentially, I think it's a better alternative to gold, to be honest with you. I think they're kind of doing about the same things as far as the store of value goes. Gold versus Bitcoin, you know, what? There's like a 10x differential in market cap, and gold is obviously a mature asset. So Bitcoin has a long way to go for that. Maybe when Bitcoin fully matures, you might see it act in that vein. But realistically, the way that I think about it is that Bitcoin is essentially going to be considered an asset. I know that El Salvador is using it as fiat, which fair enough. You know that you know they're one very small country out of like hundreds of countries in the world, and that doesn't mean that other countries can't adopt it as well. In fact, it looks like some other ones will do that. But at the end of the day, it's very, very clear from the nomenclature and the decisions in the US and Europe and whatnot that this is going to be considered an asset. So it will act very likely as an asset. And if it acts as an asset, it could be used as a hedge against inflation. Yes, I mean, that's essentially what you're seeing in traditional markets right now. But is it going to be a hedge against like the traditional markets going down? Very unlikely. Very, 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 very unlikely. And that is just not in any way, shape, or form the data that we have right now. Doesn't mean that can't happen in the future, but I think that Bitcoin has a long way to go before that is even a consideration for right now. So if you're buying Bitcoin for that reason, understand that you're probably going to get just as fucked as anything else if the market turns down. I mean, shit, man, even gold isn't a fucking hedge. Even gold is not a goddamn hedge. Hey, let's go back to 2008. You remember 2008? You remember 2008? I'm sure you do, because most people here are probably alive. 2008, right here. Hey, that gold hedge worked out really well now, didn't it? 35% down. Enjoy your hedge, motherfucker. Like, Jesus Christ, man. You know, I just don't understand how like, how is that not a topic of conversation? You know, these are just phantoms of the mind, and more or less like raw feel good type of bullshit that I'm like, I can't get over the immaturity on crypto Twitter. Not with like the actual like the on crypto Twitter. It's so funny. If you have like a real picture of your face, you're probably a fuck, and which I am, which I do, and but if you have a picture of someone else or like a fucking anime character, you're probably legit. You're probably legit. And I always see these guys, you know, you already know who they are, and it just sounds like immature children saying, if you want to fight against the bankers, the evil bankers, buy Bitcoin. Okay, well, that's not working too well. LB says, sorry if you have to repeat yourself on this, but do you think this recent dump is more reminiscent of the 2020 dump as opposed to 2019 dump? I would say the 2020 dump a little bit more so, but the problem with that is that the 2020 dump was not really technically driven. It was more event driven. You know, we did have the coronavirus dump. This one is a lot more event driven, right? Or sorry, a lot more technically driven. I mean, we had about 3 to 4 months of distribution at the top. So, you know, it depends how you kind of define it. But as far as like the severity of it and the severity and just the speed of it, I would say a lot more similar to 2020 in that case. I mean, we basically just had like 1 week of just absolutely fucking mind-shattering downside, and then consolidated and just, you know, kind of floated to the upside. Whereas 2019 over here, Bitcoin, you know, had that first initial dump, which I would say was rather similar, and then just kind of dumped out a little bit more over time too, which, you know, perhaps this does end up being, but at this point right now, you know, if Bitcoin mounts a rally into here, it's going to look less like that, I suppose. I mean, realistically, we should probably just look at it on its own merits. I don't think that it has to be like, you know, both of them, right? You know, it could be its own thing, right? There is possibilities to have new things going on in this market, of course. Oh, all good, man, all good. Scott Carney says, AMC, gamma squeeze incoming. Oh man, here comes the new meme. Here comes a new meme. Let's check it out. Actually, I do think that AMC, last I looked at, probably does have some more upside. Yeah, it probably is going to have some more upside from here. I'm curious though if what's the other fuckface one? GME, yeah, that's it. Is actually done that, because the last I looked at it did look a little bit done, but no, this I don't. I do think this one has some more upside. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing maybe tag around $100 before the inevitable, but the inevitable thing in this one will happen just like GME, and this one will come back down below $10. That's probably within the next couple of years, and live below there for the foreseeable future. I mean, again, there's nothing that's really changed here. This is a bullshit. It's not a bullshit stock, but it's it's not deserving of this price action. It has no business trading up here. Similar to GME, which we can look at right now as well. But GME, do we have a top in? GME is looking a little bit more toppy to me. Yes. It very likely does rally off this level. Very likely does test back up to like 250 or 270ish region. But I do think that GME is starting to look like the inevitable is going to unfold. I still think it takes some time here as well. So yeah, fair enough. Again, it's these things take time. I mean, these games can be played for like a year to two, and realistically, retailers are just not going to be able to keep up with that. They're going to get fucking bored. They're going to get they're going to realize that they can make money elsewhere, and then leave probably. Anyways, David Davian says, can you look at Scale? Sure. I'm not familiar with this one, but I'll just type in Scale here and see what happens. Okay, so it is real. All right, that's cool. That's a good sign. Let's look at it on FTX, I guess. Looks like shit. Looks like shit, man. Just goes down. So I, yet again, do not understand what the fucking obsession is with these shitty ass charts. But again, this is not a critique against you as a person. It does have some short-term upside here. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing trade back up towards about 35 cents. But there is nothing comforting about a chart that just goes straight down. Now, admittedly, this one's only been around for a month. So how much can I trust technical analysis on something that is this young? Not much. But realistically, I wouldn't expect this one to reverse the trend anytime soon. I think it can have some upside here. Anywhere around 35 to 36 cents is, certainly not out of the question. If things really get going, I'd be looking for somewhere around 45 cents, but there is no reason for me to believe that this is not done just going to the depths of hell. Again, really not a whole hell of a lot of history here, but for the history that we do have, it's pretty bad. So fair enough. Let's see. Saeed says, Krown, do you believe Bitcoin tests the 21 EMA on the 4-hour? Let's see. Let's go over here. Probably not right now. No. Why that level? No. Perhaps you weren't listening, or perhaps you weren't here for the beginning of the stream, but I'd be looking for a base at around $38,000, which obviously it's gonna come up to probably over the next day or two. So perhaps at that point, yes. But for right now, like if you're asking for like this second, right here, right now, I don't think it's very likely, actually. Nero Strutton says, Brosev, glad you're feeling better. Yeah, man, it's all good. It was never like a major thing. It was just fucking painful is what it was. Can we check out Cardano USD daily? Sure, man. Will I be able to pay rent next month? It depends what price you need for rent, sir. Let's see how Cardano is doing here. Again, one of the better actors, so I expect something good. Where the fuck is my chart for? Did I get rid of it? No, it's right here. 150, 155. It looks like. Yeah, it looks like it wants to put in a little bit of a rally, but I'm not a humongous fan of the structure right here. Short term, wouldn't be surprised to see it pop back up towards about 160ish region, but it depends what time frame you're looking at. Okay, you did say daily. Yeah, I do think it has a little more continuation of the upside here, but here's your last lower high, obviously, which is right around about 162, and that also is your former sort of higher low trend line, which we can just get out because it's basically coming in the same area. Anyways, here's what I'd say. I do think it gets a test somewhere around here, probably 160 at the very least. And I would extend this run significantly if it can actually just trade above the high of this consolidation here at about 162.5. Especially a closure above there would look pretty damn good for continuation up to about 170, 175 region. Again, it's going to be probably easier to watch Bitcoin, but we do have a few good things going on right here. We do have multiple drives of bullish divergence come off the low. We do see daily TSI turning up. Weekly is... I mean, weekly is not bad. It's also not, I mean, it's definitely not bad on the weekly. I don't have too much. I'm actually kind of stumped on the weekly here because this just looks bizarre the way that last weekly closed. See what the monthly looks like. Yeah, looking at the monthly, I'd still probably err on the side of upside long term. But daily, yeah, I'd be looking for a little bit of continuation here. Play a bit of a range. Obviously, the next major level to the upside is going to be right here at about 180ish region. Above 180, I'd be looking for a retest towards basically the prior highs and probably beyond. And the monthly does say that probably more or less likely to happen, I suppose, over time, maybe over the next few months here. Marshall Scott says, can you look at KSM BTC? Sure. Any particular reason why you want to look at it versus BTC? It's probably going to look a lot better versus USD, which will make you feel better. Versus BTC, I do think that next move is downside, probably back down to about 9,700 Satoshis, 9,800 Satoshis. Long term, very good chart here, very good chart here, but short term it does look like it wants to have a little bit of downside continuation. In fact, looking at the 4 hour, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to call this head and shoulders. I don't think it's going to work out like that. Volume signature would be incorrect and it just looks a little bit too sloppy. But short term probably does try for a bounce off of like, what is this, 100,000 or 1 million Satoshis? I don't know, 0.01 we'll call it. If that level does fail, then yeah, I'd be looking for the daily to come down here a little bit lower towards 96. And then try for a rally from there. Monthly is a little bit choppy here though, so I would be cognizant of this. Obviously we have another 16 days, 17 days left to go to the monthly closure, but if it does close like this, I would be a little bit on watch for a potential major top. But again, it's going to trade with the rest of the market, I imagine. And I imagine that the US dollar parent is probably going to be looking significantly better. But if you're just looking at BTC parent, I think that it probably does have some downside here, based off of Bitcoin dominance trending to the upside, having a bit of a reversal and trending to the upside. Okay, Nero Strutton says, Brooke, can we check out Bcash USD? Sure, yeah. All right, Bcash USD over here. We haven't looked at this one in a minute. Looking for a rally on this one too. Again, it's probably going to follow Bitcoin. It's certainly not as strong. This one's very weak, all things considered, but I do think that it has a little bit of short-term upside here at the very least. Probably back up somewhere around the 21, which is 670-ish region short-term. We don't even have fucking bullish divergence coming off this one. Jesus, nasty, very nasty. So it's definitely a laggard within this market, definitely not the one that I want to be in. But it gets to enjoy some of the coattails of the more stronger assets within this market. And I would be looking for probably a short-term, medium-term move back to like 680-ish region. Any sort of a closure above there, and I'd probably extend that move maybe all the way to like 800, 810 or so. But you are under pressure on this one long-term, as long as you're below about $1,050. Weeklies, sloppy. Yes, sloppy as all hell, but look, if Bitcoin moves to the upside, do I think this one's going to move to the downside? No, I don't think so. It's gonna very likely follow Bitcoin to the upside, which I do think that Bitcoin does have some upside here, but it's probably not going to follow as much, to put it bluntly. Winning Choice 87 says, hello, Mr. Krown. What's up, Mr. Choice? Can we check Matic against BTC? Sure. 4 hour and daily. Okay, so Matic, the old Polygon here. Okay, versus Bitcoin specifically. All right. Again, this one probably has a decent chart versus US dollar if my memory serves me correctly, but versus Bitcoin, not too hot right here, at least short term. I don't really like this. Anyways, you're asking about a 4 hour. 4 hour, I'd be looking for it to grind back down towards 3450-ish region. 3,400 Satoshis, yes, somewhere around there, maybe even all the way down to like 33.5. I would be looking for a little bit of a trappy behavior right there, and then probably does try a bit of a bounce. Daily, sir, are you okay? You okay over there? Daily, I don't really have a strong opinion on. Yeah, we do have a little bit of hidden bullish evidence, but that move has been rejected thus far, and you already did have a pretty nice move off that. I could get medium-term bullish if we do take out yesterday's high, which is 4,000 Satoshis. Above there, I would look for actually a nice move all the way up to about just under 5,000 Satoshis, and that'd look pretty damn good for like a long-term base. But I do think next move probably is to the downside here. All right, sweet. Oh, nice. We have another troll back, man. I fucking love that. You just have to wonder, like, what are these people thinking? Because one day, sir, you're going to be on your deathbed. I mean, we all are going to be on our deathbed, and you're going to be like, I wish I trolled Krown's Crypto Cave more. That was the highlight of my life. It's like, jeez, fucking Christ. He could be serious, yeah. At which point, well, you should also check into a mental hospital. Bitcoin Delphine says, LOL, I'm a sir, and use coconut oil for Uranus disease. No doubt. Actually, coconut oil is the one true oil to heal them all. I actually used to put that all over my body all the time for whatever reason. It smelled like shit, though. Jacob Sperling says, Hex USD, love you, have a great night. All right, you want to check out Hex? Let's see, what do we have right here? Okay, well, let's look at this chart. Oh, wow, Hex is not just it's literally the best chart in cryptocurrency land. I can't believe it, man. And we've hit our 8.5 cent target right here. I'd probably be looking, did we already have a short-term pullback from that? This one just looks like it wants more from me. I mean, this doesn't even look like it wants a pullback right here. It looks like it wants more. Where are we looking for after this? Yeah, so we hit the target off this. I know that I have an extension here somewhere, or I guess I don't. I must have deleted it or something. Let's see. We can make another extension right here. And where would my next target be? Yeah, around 10 cent or so. Look, technically speaking, I should be looking for a short. Oh, okay. We did have a pullback. Okay, we did have a pullback from here. All right, so we hit it right here. Spent 2 days pulling back. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we already got the pullback from there. This one looks like it wants more continuation, man. There's no question about it. This is the best chart in cryptocurrency land. Probably looking at 10 cents plus now. Daily, everything on daily says more. It's fucking ridiculous. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. Yeah, daily BBWP expanding while RSI is back in the bullish control zone. Daily TSI turning up and trend continuation after a fresh breakout and weekly closing on new all-time highs. Nothing bearish about that, man. Hate it all you want, but that is an extremely impressive chart, all things considered, in this market. Just reading the charts, fellas. Just reading the charts. Pablo South, what's up, man? Can you look at Nucore Daily Weekly? Sure, man. Symbol NUE. I've got it memorized now. Daily, a little bit toppy here. Daily Jewel is given a bit of a sell signal short term, so probably does come down a little bit towards 103.5, fills that gap, or actually that gap's already filled, but long term on the weekly, I'm not really bearish on something that looks like this. You know, if it really wanted to come down, it could smash down to like 106 or so. Did we hit our target here at? Yes, we did. No, we just broke out actually. So yeah, you know, maybe it does have a little bit of a short-term downside move there. I don't feel too confident on that. Maybe somewhere around here, but ultimately this one I do think has some more upside long term. This is a really fucking good chart. Once again, I mean, we're seeing like a macro breakout here, a consolidation for 12 years. I'd still be looking ultimately towards like, what is this, 140 plus? So short term, you know, a little bit of an ebb and flow here, maybe comes down a little bit towards 105 if things really get crazy, like I said, like 96 or so. But to me, this is long term up. There's no real reason to be bearish on this. Yeah, daily Jewel sell signal is probably nothing more than a short term thing. In fact, we probably, you know, maybe down to like 104.5. Long term though, I really like this one still. What's up, Kelly Garrett? Thank you for that, but feel free to have a message as well, man. Super Good Lily, what's up, man? Do you prefer tube amp or solid state, sir? I don't know what that means. I'm actually not familiar with that term, sir. Can you check out Ethereum Bitcoin daily, please? Yeah, I mean, we already looked at it. Perhaps you weren't there for it, but looking at the daily, you know, this bounce already getting faded right here does suggest that we probably do trade lower around last major low, somewhere around 6 million Satoshi, maybe even slightly lower than that towards 7.5. Long term though, I still really like this chart. I'm not in any way, shape, or form bearish on the monthly, quarterly, or bi-yearly for that matter. I do think that this one still long term heads up towards not 1 region. But looking at the daily, do I think that next move short term is to the downside? Probably yes. Probably yes. And we're actually about to get a 4-hour death cross right there, and that is not the best one either, but somewhere around like 6 million Satoshi, give or take a few. And then long term, I'd be looking at that as like probably the next macro low, assuming that Bitcoin pulls through here. Mr. Nate, what's up, man? Good morning to you, man. I'm looking at the signal on biweekly where Bitcoin doesn't break the 21 after a big rally without tagging the 10 SMA first. Can you check Pack B on the daily? Okay, Pack B on the daily. And then I need to reread that message because I don't think I fully understood exactly what you said. All right, so you're looking at Pack B on the daily. Yeah, it's looking like it's popping above the range here. I'd be looking for this one to have a nice little move up to about 34.5. But you know, that's sort of your next, like, I guess, medium-term resistance right here. Oh, we do have a bit of a gap right here. Apparently, I've looked at this before, probably at your request. Ultimately, though, I do think that this is a nice little trappy behavior right here, and it's working its way out. It's actually very reminiscent of Bitcoin from like $3,000 low, popping above about 4,000. So I do think next move is to the upside overall. See what the monthly looks like. Monthly has me monthly's still fine. I mean, it's still well above the long-term accumulation range. So I do give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'd probably just be long-term bullish on this. You know, I was going to say maybe it pulls back from this region. Perhaps it does. Maybe sets in a base at around 30, but long-term it does look like it's still got some upside there. It's looking pretty damn good. Anyways, okay, what was the prior portion of your message that you said? I'm looking at a signal on the biweekly where Bitcoin don't break the 21 after a big rally without tagging the 10 simple first. Okay, so let's see if we can pull up and look at exactly what you're looking at. You're looking at the bi-weekly. Okay. All right, let's see what we got right here. Where's my weeklies? There we go. Okay, and you're looking at something like this. Okay, we don't break the 21 before tagging the 10 simple first after first testing it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing that I've been looking at on my moving average crosses. I've actually been using the 5-day 10 and 21 and 55. and kind of looking at a relationship between these. But, you know, same thing here, it looks like as well, although you don't have an iteration over here and you don't have an iteration. Actually, no, you do, just different moving averages, I suppose. So yeah, you got an example right here. Nice. Okay. You got an example right here. Nice. Okay. And you got an example here. Yeah. Yeah, it works out. I mean, this one actually did even trade above it looks like. And same thing for this one as well, but that one was just continuation to be fair too. So where is that coming in around? Yeah, about $48,000. Fits my bias, baby. Fits my bias. So I'm in, baby. Yeah, man, good eye on that one. Adita Kelsey says, how does SNX look to you on the daily in 6 hour? 6 hours is an interesting time frame to call out, but yeah, we can look at that, I suppose. SNX, I remember this one was one of the better actors for the past cycle or so, but right now, certainly no. Oh my God, certainly not. Jesus, man, this one got smacked on the face. This one does have a death cross coming in here, but this is not an example of a good death cross. I would be looking for this one to pop back up towards $10, but this one's relatively weak. I do not like things that do this kind of shit while Bitcoin is showing a little bit of short-term medium-term strength. This is not a good signal long-term, obviously, but short-term, yes, very likely does trade up towards about $10. If you're looking at the 6 hour, yeah, you know, again, I think it maybe even tags a little bit higher than that, somewhere between about $10 and $11. Could, you know, maybe put in a major low right here, but I'm not getting too many things that suggest that just yet. But at least a little bit of a pity rally here, you know, perhaps, you know, if things really get crazy, maybe up to like $11.50. But I don't like this one long term, as long as it's below about, let's call it $14. As long as it's below $14, I look at this one as, you know, it's just there's other things that are looking that are acting a lot better in these situations. This is not one of them. But yes, I do think that it, you know, generally will follow Bitcoin here. Just not as much, man. Just not as much. Okay, cool. Robert DeRue says, hey, Krown, what's up, man? Do you think Bitcoin will outperform alt in the coming weeks? Yes, I do think so. If Bitcoin is moving on the macro scale, it will. If Bitcoin's moving on the major scale, it actually usually will as well. How the fuck did I spell that wrong? Oh my God. Jesus, man. Rusty right now. Yeah, so this is a reversal to me. We do have a higher low on the daily. Bitcoin dominance popping back up and testing around the prior high is usually going to lead to a continuation move there. This is just basically an inverted Ethereum Bitcoin chart. This one very likely does head up towards about 49% for Bitcoin dominance. Altcoins are going to get absolutely shreked on a move like that versus their Bitcoin parent. They will very likely follow Bitcoin versus US dollar. This could even on the weekly trade up more than that over time towards like 52% to 53%. So I do think it's time for Bitcoin to shine a bit, whether it be to the upside or the downside. Bitcoin will very likely outperform alts on the whole. Looking at the monthly right here, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this a higher low right here. It does look like a potentially higher low on the weekly compared to our last mega lows right here, but I mean, that is well and far away right now. Anyways, I don't think that any indicators really work on a chart like this. I only go off of structure and trend. And in this case, I do think that this one has more upside. Actually, looking at the weekly more and more, I do think it actually even trades up north of 50%. So altcoins probably in general not going to be having a pretty damn good time versus their Bitcoin parents for the most part. Pablo South back again. Thank you, bro, for the party nets. No problem, man. Can you look at Peloton hourly daily? Yes. Another stock with cult-like following, which is actually kind of a good thing, I suppose. Looking good here on the weekly. I'd be looking for the weekly to pop up to 124.5, 125, but you didn't ask about the weekly. Yes, about hourly and daily. All right. Hourly, up, looking good. Hey, very, very good right here. Reversal is real. I'd be looking for hourly to trade back up towards 120 region. Daily is also looking pretty damn good here too. A nice little consolidation after a V bottom. Yep, daily I'd be looking for it to pop up towards 125 region. I actually think that this one's probably, this is like a, this to me, these sort of signatures, right? I don't know if there's like a technical name for this. I would just call it like a Quasimodo fuck is what I'd call it. Whenever you see something like this that kind of prints head and shoulders, drops down below the neckline, and then immediately reverses on a V bottom back above the neckline, almost always I see those like go on for actual tears. So while short term I would be looking for this one to pop up towards like north of 120, long term I do think this one, you know, probably tags up towards 140ish region. The weekly's pretty damn good here for at least another try. I don't know if this one's like going to continue on the macro scale to new all-time highs, but at least give it a chance to kind of consolidate this region for a while, and then potentially, you know, later on in this year. That's what I'd be looking for. Thomas A says, you think momentum on Sen's daily continues? Let's see. SENS. Okay, Sensionics. All right. Oh, nice. We have another one of these straight shitty down charts. Actually, no, we don't. This one's popped above the range. Yeah, I do. I like this chart right here. I like this chart right here. I'd be looking for it to tag back up towards the last major weekly closing high at around 465 region. Monthly is looking good long term. In fact, I'd probably extend that towards just under $5. Do I think that the momentum continues? I mean, short-term momentum is a little bit is getting a little bit hot here, but still getting continuation signals, at least for the time being. I don't know if this one's ready to like just roll at this exact moment, but generally speaking, I do think this one has more upside probably long term. This is a pretty good move on the monthly here. There's nothing really bearish about, you know, putting in a fucking monthly reversal with a higher low already confirmed, and I mean presumably already a higher high above this high right here because we're already trading above it. Technically speaking, you'd want to wait for monthly closure above 350, but that would be my reversal, and we got some phantom div here as well, so fair enough, man. I'd probably be looking for this one, yeah, to continue long term. But if you're speaking just about the daily, I mean, the daily is probably going to, you know, have maybe a little bit of a range between about 475 and about 360-ish region. And long term, though, I do like it. It's actually a pretty good chart long term, all things considered. All right, Mario says, good sir, does Bitcoin dominance going up mean Bitcoin will gain more than ETH USD? Yes. Yes. So if Bitcoin dominance goes up, it just means that Bitcoin is either gaining more versus US dollar than an altcoin versus US dollar, or losing less versus US dollar than an altcoin losing versus US dollar as well. So it's always relative to each other. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance can go up in both an upside market and a downside market. It just depends on the rate of change between US dollar, between those two comparable assets. Okay, let's see what else we got over here. Blazerin101 says, hey, Krown, can you check out Coin on the daily? Yeah, man, we should actually make this a more... mainstay of this analysis, because I do like looking at Coinbase stock, as this thing is just this is a stock of a shitcoin right now. It looks absolutely terrible. But I imagine that this does play somewhat well with Bitcoin. It looks like we have a little bit of a short-term low right here. Probably does trade back up towards about 229, 230-ish region. What's this gap right here? Yeah, 230. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it tag back around there. I would not be looking for any sort of like medium-term continuation as long as you're above this level right here at about 233. If you can take out that level, I would extend the run significantly towards about 240. But keep in mind, man, this one's like operating $30 below its reference price. It had a reference listing price of about 250, opened at 350. People only just sold it the whole way fucking down, which is hilarious. Everyone just fucking sold it. Kathy Wood's not happy about that one. You know, do I think that this is looking like a low right here? It might be a short-term low. I don't like this as a low structure though. So it's definitely weak. It's definitely a shitty stock for what it's worth right now. But you know, does it get a little bit of a move to the upside here? Maybe like 230, maybe even 240, potentially yes. But long term, there is nothing interesting about this from a long-term perspective, as long as you're below about basically 250, we'll call it, which is the reference price, which makes sense too. But above there, you know, you can start to look for, you know, some nice rips into the $300 plus region. But as far as the short term goes, that's kind of how it charted out. And it does, I do not like this chart right here. This is not not the picture of health and fitness, as I like to say. Anyways, Krown's Hex Cave is at it again. Yeah, man, people love the Hex. I mean, Hex definitely has a cult-like following. But I guess I understand it. Like, if they're making a shit ton of money off that, fair enough, man. More power to you. You know, I have no comments about the underlying technology. I know that there's a lot of animosity with that. First speaking, that's not my game. I don't really care about that. And as far as charts goes, there's, you know, it would be dishonest of me. It would be intellectually dishonest of me to say that that's a bad chart. It's not. It's not even not a bad chart. It's literally the best chart on, you know, for better or worse. What's up, Mr. Sethi? Hey, Krown, can we look at fourth USD token? Okay. Okay. I am not familiar with this. Fourth. Okay, it is real. So that's good. It exists. And it has a very shitty downside chart. Nice. We have another straight down chart for the eternity of history of this one, which is not all that much. So how much do you trust that? I don't. I don't trust that. Do we have bullish divergence here? We probably do. I'd probably be looking for a short-term move up to about 19.5, maybe $20. You know, while I do think it will generally follow Bitcoin, there's nothing to be excited about this thing as long as it's below about 24 and some odd change. But I do think that next move is to the upside here, probably about 19.5, maybe even $20. $24 is like the real major area that I want to be aware of. Again, I really don't trust analysis on something that's been around for a month and a half, 2 months. That's not enough, but Yeah, it probably does fall a little bit here, but this one again relatively weak. You know, you don't have to choose the shittiest chart available to you. You can choose charts that have been acting well. In this case, this would not be one of them by any stretch of the imagination. What's up, Jonathan Richards? Hey man, appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. Please, could you take a look at 3175 on Hong Kong Exchange daily chart? Okay, 3175. Okay, yeah, I can on HKEX. So this is Samsung. Okay, so it trades on Hong Kong. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I've never traded Chinese markets, and for the Chinese stocks that did trade on U.S. equity markets that I have traded, they always did not. I was never a big fan of it. We'll say it that way. Yeah, I was never a big fan of it because of the very interesting ways that Chinese companies can do their accounting sometimes. Which can really actually manipulate the fucking stock price. In this case right here, look, if I'm just looking at straight TIA, yeah, I do think that it pops up to like 5.25. I fucking hate Chinese stocks though. Not because they're Chinese, just because I have bad experiences with them. That's it. It's not fucking racist, okay? It would be racist if I said fuck Chinese people, which I'm not saying, okay? I'm not saying that at all. In fact, Chinese people are probably great. It's just their goddamn government that sucks. Now I'm definitely getting banned. Oh man, let's talk about the Wuhan lab as well. Isn't it fucking weird that now it's coming out that apparently it was created in a lab, and apparently that lab has connections to Fauci as well. That's strange. Maybe you should look into that. Maybe you should fucking look into that. Hey, look, you can find the data for yourself, make the decision for yourself, but at the end of the day, man, some very interesting things going on over there. Very interesting things. Anyways, also Taiwan is a country. Oh shit, getting murdered now. Definitely getting murdered now. I apologize to the Chinese people out there who are very offended by my identification of Taiwan as a country. It is certainly not a country. It is just a territory that is also a country that is not controlled by China. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Look, if you don't stand up and speak out against that kind of shit, you enable this sort of bullshit to go on, okay? Like, fucking Chinese government is like literally, from what I understand, genociding some Muslim people or something like that, man. Like, that's not good. I don't support that shit. You know, you got to speak out against that shit. Not that I'm the person to do that, but fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. I mean, that's how like communism type of shit starts. No one speaks out. No one fucking speaks out. So, you know, if you do have a strong opinion about something, say it. Anyways, Michael Lopez says, hey, Krown, comp USDT for short term? Sure. And again, to be 100% straightforward, I am not saying anything about Chinese people. Like Chinese people, all the Chinese people I've met, or most of the Chinese people I've met, have been pretty, you know, good people. Government, though, that's a different story. Anyways, okay, comp USDT for short term. How do you think it will move with Bitcoin? Again, another shitty weak chart. Do I think it's going to go up short term? Yes, probably 340.5 or so. Could it extend that run significantly towards about 370-ish region? Possibly yes, but this one is... I mean, look, man, you're choosing one of the shittier charts in this market when Bitcoin's actually showing a little bit of short-term and medium-term strength here. You want to be looking for the altcoins that are playing along with that. This one will very likely rally up with Bitcoin. Again, 340 is certainly not out of the question, and even 360 is actually somewhat likely here too. But this one, you know, if we were to make a comparison with this one for Bitcoin, right? You'd be looking, if this one was like relatively just on par with Bitcoin, not even strong, but just on par with Bitcoin, it'd be trading at like 440 right now. In fact, it's more than $100 below that here. So this is not good long term. I don't like shit like this, but do I think that it can rally up here? Yes, I do think so. Would I be excited about a move above 460? Yes, but that's more of a long term thing. And seeing as you're nowhere near there right now, it's not a good sign long term. Doesn't mean that it can't get back above there. In fact, it probably does if Bitcoin continues here. But, you know, again, it's, you know, have to be thinking about these things in terms of relative strength. I would not be long-term like macro excited about this one as long as it's below about 560-ish region. So I would be very, very careful with that. Something to perhaps consider, of course, is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Anyways, okay. We got, hey, what's up, Sebastian? Bless you, sir. And also hello to you, Mr. Gwyn. Okay, hi, Krown. CXW daily monthly, please. Okay, you always have stocks, which is good. I like looking at stocks because they don't all do the same fucking thing as Bitcoin. Very, very good right here. You have identified a daily reversal. This is strength. This is what you want to see. Increasing volume on the breakout on a continuation of higher highs and higher lows. Very fucking good right there. You did, whatever you're doing is is good as far as that goes. Now, long term, I hate this chart. I don't hate this chart long term, but I don't like it as much long term. I do think it has some long term upside though. I do think that it does have some. It probably does get a move into like the mid teens or so, somewhere around $14 to $15. At least a daily reversal is good for now. I don't really see anything of particular interest, at least for short term, until like 13 and a quarter. Long term, you obviously got this high right here at 17 and a half. And is that the macro one on the monthly? I'm kind of stumped here on the monthly, actually. I don't think I can say that just yet. I would. I'd be looking at these as like big pivot points. I do think it will trade up to here. I do think it probably takes out this level and does move towards this level. I don't have a strong opinion on whether this is like going to be a macro area. However, it is kind of like your long-term breakdown. I would say typically that is a good area for a macro pivot, but I wouldn't feel comfortable saying anything more than that. But I do like it short and medium term. You actually did identify a pretty damn good reversal right here. This is like what you want to see, and this is very actually similar to Bitcoin here too, right? In some ways, obviously Bitcoin was testing around its lows more times, but we have a higher low right here. You gap up on your breakout. It's really, really good sign. When you see a gap up into a breakout, those usually get a lot of continuation, and those are the type of breakouts that perhaps won't get tested over time. So that's usually a really, really good sign, at least for short and medium term on that time frame. Adita Kelsey says, "Hey Krown, what's up, man? Sorry, but I had to follow up. All good, man. It's all good. No need to apologize, sir." SNX coming out of a descending broadening wedge. Looking at the hourly. Okay, so you're looking at the hourly and you're identifying a descending broadening wedge, which is typically a bullishly resolved pattern. Again, I do think it has upside. Not even looking at the hourly right here. Is this a descending broadening wedge? It is not. If anything, it's an ascending broadening wedge is what it would be, something like this. But I think it's neither of these things, to be honest with you. It'd actually be this, which is actually a bearish pattern, which you probably don't want. I do think it has some short-term upside, like I said earlier. But if you're just looking at the hourly right here, I would strongly disagree with this being a descending broadening wedge, which is typically a bullishly resolved pattern, which maybe you're charting it like, I'm curious how you've been getting that, to be honest with you. I mean, now I see like a little bit of a symmetrical triangle. This is obviously not going to work out like that though. This is the reason why people hate technical analysis, because like, it's like, this looks right, but it's certainly not right. This is not how this one's going to play. I would put no real trends on this one, except for the higher lows right here, which is actually rather interesting. And then I just have this area marked off right here. That's all. Simplicity is typically the best way to kind of operate in this territory as far as I'm concerned. But I do think that you have an upside move here. If anything, I wouldn't even say it's some ascending triangle, but ultimately, I wouldn't be looking at the hourly right here, to be honest with you. But if you're specifically asking about that situation, to just bluntly answer your question, I disagree. No. Let me just reread it just to make sure. Yeah, it's a descending broadening wedge. No, I don't see anything resembling a descending broadening wedge here. I'd have to just say, yeah, straight out now. I'm trying to read this message over here. What the hell is? Oh my god, man. Oh, you gotta love it. Oh, you gotta love in the comment section. A-hole plus Elon equals Elon. And that is also is that the main protagonist in Horizon Zero Dawn? No, that's Aloy. Whatever. I think the hate of Elon is very much misplaced, to be honest with you. But hey, man, if you need the financial boogeyman to blame your issues on, let's just blame fucking Elon. Why not, man? Why not? All right, back onto the comments over here. Can you take a look at Link? Thank you, says Chris. Sure. Let's look at Link over here. Where's my Linky Dink? There we go. 23 and a half. Again, not one of the better charts. Not one of the better charts, all things considered, which is unfortunate because Link has been certainly one of the better charts. Link was like the hex of the last 3 years, and then all of a sudden, man, this one just really coughing it up. I do think it has some upside here. Look, I do think it's going to trade up to like $26.5. You did not give me a time frame on this, so I'm just going to stick with like daily and 4 hour. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a change of behavior here. Not a whole hell of a lot. Short term probably does trade up to like, I don't know, 25 or so. That's probably your next short term pivot. Daily, though, I do think it has more continuation, somewhere up towards 26.5 to 27. There's not really anything to be too excited about this one long term on the macro, as long as you're below about 32. Above 32, I would be looking for, runs back up into the 40s or so. But for right now, man, this one's just barely hanging on to the lows. Very likely does rally up here with Bitcoin, but I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of the charts that have been acting weaker. But yeah, hey, you do have a higher low, I suppose, in place right there. So little bit of hopium is certainly involved, and perhaps we can give it a little bit of an excuse for its past, amazing performance, that is. But for right now, fair enough. That's what I'd leave it out as. Anyways, Nate, hey, what's up, Nate? Can you check AMBA daily, weekly, also on the monthly? Do you think this is setting up for a massive blue sky breakout after 4 years of accumulation? Let's see. Okay, symbol AMBA. Ambarella. Okay, so we got a real stock. Okay, so you're asking about a long-term macro move. Okay, so you're talking about this accumulation right here. Yep, I'd agree with you on that. Testing around your problem highs is certainly not bearish. Yes, we did get the first initial reaction to the downside. That's to be expected. Do I think that it moves up from here on the monthly? Yeah, I do. I'd agree with you. I think you've identified these incredibly well. Looking at the daily, I think it's already put in its sort of bear trappy low right here. I think this one moves back up to 110 short term, and then continues on. The monthly looks very good. Quarterly, I imagine, looks pretty damn good as well. Let's see. Yeah, quarterly is, if this quarterly closes anywhere above 105 and a quarter, I would be very bullish coming into the end of this year. Blue sky breakouts, it's probably not going to happen like today or tomorrow, but probably more like fourth quarter of this year. I imagine this third quarter is usually like consolidation and such. Mike Lopez says, hey, Krown, comp USDT for short term. How do you think it will move with Bitcoin? Did we already look at this one? I feel like we did. Let's see. Okay, so you're looking at short term. I'll look at a 4 hour right here. Look, it probably does. Yeah, I do remember this one. It probably does move up short term, maybe around like 350 or maybe even all the way up to like 370-ish region. But I don't like charts that are acting weak in comparison to the rest of the market in this case. This one is certainly weak, all things considered. So it's very likely to move with Bitcoin, but I'd be very cautious around about 390 if it even gets there. And there's nothing to be excited about this thing on a macro scale as long as it's below this level right here, which is about 540. You wish it was 340, but it's 540 in this case. I don't think that's wise to reward the coins that were acting bad during this last sort of consolidation right here, because there were several that were actually acting, pretty decently, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be acting, relatively better if and when Bitcoin does get a little bit of upside, which I do think that it has in store here. So with that in mind, this one is very likely going to follow Bitcoin, but as far as like a percentage difference, less so. I would imagine less so. So the Bitcoin dominance, as long as that one goes up, this one probably does get smacked on the face too. It's not doing anything, in my opinion, that is special. Hey, what's up, Jordan Chen? Hey, appreciate that, man. You might check. I don't know what Chega means, but it sounds racist, sir. But big ups to you as well, sir. Michael Mariscata says, can you check out AHT, Ashford Hospitality Trust on weekly? Okay, AHT. All right, so this is Ashford Hospitality Trust, and let's see what else it said. Do you detect a macro low and change of behavior? This is at my girlfriend's request. Oh man, get that girlfriend away from your trading accounts right fucking now, man. Holy shit, get her away. Is this a macro low? It is a major low, certainly. Is it a macro low? This one is a garbage chart. Holy fuck, this is a terrible chart. Look, it's definitely, it's very likely got some upside here. Yeah, you do see a change of behavior, and I would agree with you on that. But as far as a macro low, look, when you call a macro low, I would be looking for this one to rally. Like, that would imply that this one's going to rally back up towards, $100 plus. Is that possible over time? Perhaps yes, but I would certainly not say that from here. The only way that I really start to consider this one as a potential macro low is with with like a monthly close above like $39. Short term though, I do think that you have some more upside. I think $12 is very, very likely. Over the next few months here, perhaps maybe even all the way up to like $31. But look, as long as you're below this level right here, I play this one as the shit stock that it looks like long term. Let's look at a quarterly here too. Sorry. And look, zero disrespect to your girlfriend. She's probably just looking for, well, I don't know. Maybe this is where she works or something and she's just interested in it. But I really don't like this as a topping formation right here. It's very, 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 very bad. Long term, but I changed my opinion on that above $39. I think that you could confirm this as a macro low, but look, the problem with this, even looking at this one as a macro low right now, is you technically don't even have a low in right now. That's kind of the problem with it. Now, do I think that this will put in a major low right here? Yeah, I do, and I do think that it will rally up over the next few months to like $11.5, $12, and probably continue somewhere into this region here, upper 20s, maybe even $30 in the next like half year to a year or whatever it ends up being. But it would be very premature to call this a macro low is what I'm trying to say. It does have some good characteristics down here, at least short and medium term on a monthly considered, but long term, man, not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of a chart that looks like this. It's definitely under accumulation here. So yeah, you probably do get a nice markup. But yeah, some issues in the deeper 20s, it looks like. So fair enough. Ian Lynn says, sir, Ethereum USD daily, weekly, sure. All right, let's see. Ethereum. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's go 2490 right here. Okay. Why does it not save my charts, man? That was only relevant for like last week. Okay, or the week prior to that. All right, and this one, do I have too many trend lines here? I think I do. So let's get rid of the ones that don't matter too much for right now. That'd be this one. This one's working for right now. Yes, we can just mark off this area right here. Okay, so we're going to make a few assumptions here that Bitcoin does continue on to the upside. This one probably does trade back up towards 2,600 or so. Definitely a little bit on the weaker side though. Now it does not look as bad as most altcoins. I'd say that this one is like par. This one would be like par for the altcoin market. I do think short term it will move back up towards about 26. Yes. Now if you can close any sort of a daily dolo above 2,700, that'd be my next sort of point for at the very least trying back up towards the high side of this consolidation, which is right around $3,000. Now I'm actually really split long term on Ethereum chart. Now I'm just going to delete this whole chart and go off of the only areas that are relevant for the daily right here. So you got this and this, and then short term, you got this area right here, which I think you probably hits maybe even today at 2,600 or so. Now, here's the thing: as long as you're below $2,900, it is under pressure. To be fair, problem is that the weekly is not giving me too much to operate off of right now. Yeah, I'm really split on the weekly, man. I'd have to say a healthy amount of I don't know here. It's really whatever Bitcoin's gonna do, this one's gonna follow, right? So I think it's easier to look at Bitcoin. So let's just kind of make a corollary between these two. And let's say Bitcoin does move into like the mid or deep $40,000 territory. I would be looking for this one to pop up somewhere around, $33 to $3,400, somewhere right around here. Would be very, very likely. And of course, that would be initiated after a, probably closure above about 2,900 or so. Short term, it's got some upside. If it can clear this area right here, I'd extend that a little bit towards 28, 2,900-ish region. Then maybe it has a chance. But I'm very split on the weekly and the monthly. Technically speaking, the monthly, like, when you look at a massive long-legged doji doodle like this, it is a sign of indecision, perhaps reversal. But the only way to confirm it as a reversal is by trading below the low side of it, which is 1755. So I don't think that's very likely right now, especially with Bitcoin doing what it's doing. And in fact, we put this on our trending charts over here. It actually shows a completely different picture, in fact. So I would err on the side of upside here, if anything. I would err on the side of upside, and that's what I feel comfortable with saying. But looking at the monthly right here, technically speaking, we have still yet to close a monthly doodle below the topside trolling band. So until that happens, which we might do this month, but that's currently coming in where? 2637, which I do think that we trade above. So we'll have a chance to continue with this. And if it closes anywhere above there, I'd be looking for this one to make new all-time highs into the end of the year, actually. That'd be a very, 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 very good signal of strength, but that's well and far away. Other than that, I'm very much split on this chart. I think it's just easier to watch Bitcoin in this case. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, I see what you're saying, St. Lucifer. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But if your question is like literally just would that be a good hedge? No, I don't think so. That's just not the history that we have. But now I understand exactly what you're saying. Reed Harvey says, Krown, I came for the Bitcoin analysis and I stayed for the garbage meme analysis. $Clove medium term would be good, please, sir. This is another meme stock, right? I think this is the new Reddit bullshit. Or maybe I'm wrong on that, but holy fuck. Yeah, this puppy's done. Oh my god, that was fast. Wait, maybe not. We go down to an hourly here. Look, I guess you give it the benefit of the doubt as long as it holds last week lows, which is like $14. You give it a chance to kind of consolidate here. Below $14, there is no more excuses made on this thing. This one will come down below like $10 or so long term. Yeah, I mean, look, these charts, like they're I do think that this one can get drawn out similar to like GameStop or AMC here, but if you do come back down below, I think it was like 1390 or so, I'd be looking for this one to like really shatter. Yeah, I'd be looking for it to cover up the whole rally, but at least for right now, it's a little bit of an early victory there. But here's the thing, man, like That's a lot of fucking selling. That is such a nasty reversal right there. I'd give it the benefit of the doubt though. Again, these things do typically take their time. All right, Bitcoin, show me your girthy green dildos, please. Show me your girthy green dildos, sir. All right, Abbott Dynamics says ticker FWONK. FWONK. That's what I did last night. FWONK. Okay. Let's see. Liberty Media Corporation. All right. Never heard of this thing. Let's see. And you're looking at daily, weekly, gearing up for new highs. Potential hidden divergence on the date on which time frame? We'll look at daily, weekly, and see if we can find it. Technically, yes, there would be hidden bullish divergence there. Actually, Caretaker's RSI did not, or no, there would not be. This was a prior low right here, so technically no. But I do like the day. I mean, this chart's pretty damn good here. Daily TSI turn up above the bullish buy zone. Daily RSI consolidating just for a bullish reset right there. I like both those things within the context of an uptrend. I'd be looking for this one to pop up to like 47 weekly. Very good. And weekly does have multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence. Yes, so that would actually make this a lot easier. $47.5 to $48 would be my target over the next week or two, and any sort of a closure above there, I'd be looking for new all-time highs. I don't really have a target for that, but generally speaking, this looks like it wants to make new all-time highs. Weekly TSI, weekly RSI, all looking good. Trend is obviously up as well. I'm generally bullish on that stock, and probably does make new all-time highs over the next, over the next couple quarters here. Looking good, man. Looking very good. Oh, by the way, I forgot to announce it. Liquidity Zone are sort of I guess partnered. I guess like partner friends who run their own sort of daily analysis on traditional markets. They are actually releasing a new issue of their sort of bi-weekly update on the what do we call that? I guess we call it like a newsletter. Yeah, bi-weekly newsletter there. So you can check that out at the Krown Chain application. A little bit of a hidden shill right there, but yeah, they actually do have pretty damn good information, and you can check out their YouTube channel as well, which they do a daily live stream, and both two guys that like I know and trust, so very comfortable with representing them. Okay, let's see. Okay, we got that one. What's up, Toby Wan says, hey Krown, have you checked out that new all-time high in Hex USD? Yes, we did, man. We actually just gave it a nice little analysis right there. And you need to check out Ethereum fork pulse chain soon. Is this on TradingView? What is this? Okay, I keep on hearing about this goddamn pulse chain. Like, okay, it's not on TradingView, so we can't look at it. But yeah, we already looked at Hex USD, man. I mean, I already know you're gonna like what I say, but yeah, I mean, it's quite literally the best chart in cryptocurrency land, with no questions asked, actually. Kind of funny. But what the fuck is pulse chain? I keep on getting hit. People keep on like messing me about this pulse chain thing. I like, they keep on saying like, if you hold Ethereum, then you get pulse chain or something. Well, fair enough. All right. I guess I don't know how those things. I've never played it. I've never done an airdrop, or I guess it's an airdrop or fork. Yeah, fork. I've never done that, so I don't know how that works. Bitfinesse says, and the Fauci program that started it all is getting more funding. Oh dear Lord. Also, hi YouTube, get bent. Sorry, love you Krown, love you too, Mr. Bitfinesse. La Major says ENJ USD daily weekly. Okay, ENJ USD. Let's see on Binance, and what do we have here? We have this one's actually acting a little bit better than some of the other shitcoins. In fact, this one would be, I'd say, par for the course, maybe even a little bit better. I'd be looking at this one to pop back up towards 145 or so. Where did that go? Daily, weekly. Okay, let's look at the weekly as well. Yeah, very weird chart here on the weekly, but look, if Bitcoin trades into like the mid to deep $40,000 territory, I'd be looking for this one to pop back up somewhere just south of $2 or so. Pablo South says, smash the likes and the keyboard. Please look at BBBY. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, man. If you do feel compelled to smash the likes, you can also smash your face onto the likes as well. It's not good for you, but it helps this channel, I do suppose. Anyways, looking at the weekly right here, BBBY, I do like this. Breakout is real. I do think that it will get continuation. I always love these sort of signatures where you are confirming a weekly uptrend plus a weekly golden cross. I do believe that this one will have more upside over the long period of time, probably up to like $50, maybe even more. But that is over a long period of time. You're asking about an hourly and daily, so that's completely different. Hourly probably is a little bit of a local low right here. I'd be looking for it to pop back up towards 34.5 or so, 34.25. Daily is not as impressive short term. Honestly, the daily would be looking a little bit downside to me, like 30.25, but based off the weekly and the hourly, man, I do like this one. I have no reason to be bearish on this as long as it's above about $30 or so. And I'll just kind of leave that there. And what's up, Khalid? Welcome to the cave, sir. Looks like Howard has retracted his message, but why? But how dare you? Phil Morris, that's a cool name. Should I expect a small pullback before Should I expect a small pullback before I put it all on the line for Bitcoin to go up into the 40s? I don't think that's very wise to do in any sense, to like go all in. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And if you've been listening to this, analysis, you probably have a pretty damn good idea of what I'm doing and what I'm looking for. So the short answer would be no. The long answer would be look at the fucking analysis. And the very long answer would be this is not financial advice, man. I can't make it a good decision for you because I don't even know what the fuck you're trying to do there. What are you trying to do? Hold this for the rest of your life? Hold this, trade this in the next few hours? I don't fucking know. How could I possibly make a good decision for you, man? Be very, very careful when you ask those sorts of questions because someone will give you a legitimate answer and they have no fucking way to know what the hell is going to be right for you with just literally one sentence on a YouTube comment. Apologies if that comes off a little bit harsh, but like be careful with that kind of stuff because look, we need to talk for like fucking hours just to understand what the hell you're trying to do before I could like legitimately give you any sort of non-financial advice on what I think would what I think would be the best course of action. But I'm happy to share my analysis, and then you can use that in whichever way that you want, which you should be able to use in whatever way that you want. All right. Solverine is wrecking my inbox once again. God damn it. Let's see. Toby Wan says Pulse is a fork of Ethereum. It is launching soon. Will be the biggest airdrop in history. Okay. So all ERC20s will be copied to the Pulse chain. Does that mean if you hold ERC20s or Ethereum, you'll actually get the Pulse? All right. I guess I do have a little bit of Ethereum, so fair enough. All right, Epidemic says, for the first time, I'm starting to feel comfortable, not just confident, but comfortable. Okay, that's good. Comfortable leads to boredom, yes. And the boredom is setting in, yes. You want to be bored. Thoughts on balancing that comfort and not becoming overconfident? Okay. You're not going to like the answer, man. The way that you don't become overconfident is that, well, at least what I've found in my past is that you get a slap in the face by the reality of the market, which will inevitably teach you these lessons more and more over time if needed. So here's a way that I think about it, and here's a way that I've come to grips with that. That is why I'm so militant with always harping on these sorts of things, because I have found in my past that whenever I feel like I am better than the market or overconfident, as you will, the market has a very sick and sadistic way of reteaching me the lessons that it has taught me in the past, and the market will continue to teach these lessons until you fully internalize them for good. There is no letting go of the gas pedal in terms of being disciplined with your trading strategy. The second that you let go of that, the second you destroy all that you built up towards, and you can expect that the market will shove a massive red dildo inside your bunghole and shish kebab you to your mouth hole. It will not be fun, it will not be good, but it will be a good reminder. So how do you not become overconfident? The way that I do not become overconfident, and I still do struggle with this sometimes, absolutely, especially after like a long winning streak, for example, the way that I've kind of caught myself back down to reality is by keeping a trade journal or just keeping like a general journal, actually, not even a trade journal, but like a general journal where I kind of write down how I'm feeling and whatnot. And this could be like for anything in life, because you'll naturally feel that, or you'll naturally notice that carries on over. And so when you become overconfident, you should be able to identify that. And you know that to be true if you're not telling lies to yourself, which why would you tell yourself lies in your own fucking journal? No one else is reading it except for your goddamn girlfriend when she steals it, like mine does. But oh my God, Rahul is saying the generic bullshit that I think is just ridiculous. Yeah, please ban that. That is silliness. Look, the market is not rigged. It's just you're not as good at playing the game against the market as the people who you think are rigging it. You'd probably be doing the same thing, to be honest with you. Like, be fucking honest, and that's what this comes down to. Be honest with yourself so that you can call these sorts of things out, and you can bring yourself back to normality when needed. And it will naturally, the market will naturally teach you these things, because look, I mean, it's no secret, man. At some point, you're going to get another situation like we just saw a month ago. We saw it about a year ago over here. We saw it about a year before that over here. We've seen it several times in the past, and that will inevitably happen once again. So you need to be on top of your game, because the second that you start to veer away from your self-defined plan, which has been working, it sounds like, then you start to let go of the statistics that are in your favor, in favor of non-existent statistics, because you're no longer playing out any sort of a plan, so you cannot expect any sort of a similar result. So swinging back around and trying to hit this from a different angle, when you're starting to feel comfortable, this is good. You want to, because comfort leads to boredom. Like when we feel comfortable, we get bored and we look for the next thing to conquer. That's great. Conquer something else. Remain bored within trading. That is good. That's the mindset that you want to be coming at it from. You want to be bored as fuck while you are making money. That is good. That is the ideal position, because you understand at that point that the statistics are working for you with your trading plan. But when you become overconfident, when does that happen? Well, that happens typically after you have like a long winning streak. In my case, I imagine the same for you as well. I don't think you really become overconfident when you have like a long losing streak, for example. So it's good to both reflect upon your past, which you can do through a journal, and you can also keep in touch with your own thoughts and feelings within that journal as well on a day-to-day basis if needed. And that will keep you grounded in reality, because that will force you to have self-reflection. When you self-reflect or reflect upon yourself, is that right? I don't know. When you have self-reflection, it'll be easier to identify, and you will be able to not necessarily get away from that, because it is natural that you're going to start to feel a little bit overconfident after winning so much. Like, obviously, that's just kind of the way that you're set up, but you want to be indifferent to that overconfidence. So this is where a lot of people get tripped up in not just trading, but a lot of other things as well. Myself included. I'm not separating myself from this conversation, but look, people will both associate with their wins or losses more than what they deserve. And that is not where you want to be coming from. You want to look at yourself as just a human being, a person that is, you have emotions, but you aren't the emotion. You aren't overconfident. You're just feeling overconfident, for example. You're not a fucking loser. You're just feeling like a loser. At the end of the day, you're just still a goddamn person. And those emotions, those sort of things are fleeting, and they come in and they go out just like a fucking wave of the ocean. You don't even really have too much control over them, volitional control over them, that is. But you can recognize them. And once you recognize them, you're able to separate that emotion from who you are. And you realize, okay, I'm feeling overconfident right now. That's cool. That's great. That's amazing. It's better than feeling like shit, obviously, but I don't want to associate with this feeling and think that it gives me superpowers in order to trade better. It doesn't. What gives me superpowers to trade better is just following this goddamn boring as fuck plan, because that's really all that it is at the end of the day. And the second that I start to incorporate my overconfidence into my plan, and maybe even get rewarded for it a few times at first too, that's why bull markets are so difficult, then you're going to inevitably veer further and further and further, and you will very likely find what I've found, which is not fun, which is the opposite of overconfidence. It leads to an opposite but equal effect, where you typically get wrecked or get humbled by the market once again. And the market will continually teach these lessons. I found throughout the whole history of my career, no matter fucking what, if I think that I can just, maybe I just, piss off on this today because I feel, oh man, this one's obviously going up, I'll just fucking buy it right here. Almost every fucking time. Well, maybe not every time, but enough times it will be a humbling effect. And so that lesson will become more and more internalized over time, whether you like it or not. Here's the thing though, if you are disciplined, if you are 100% on top of it, you don't have to go through that, actually. You don't have to go through that. You only have to go through it as many times as you yourself allow it to happen. How do you allow it to happen? Well, as we just spoke about, you essentially veer off and associate with that feeling. But if you can dial it back, you can mitigate that as much as is within your volitional control. And that's all that you can do at the end of the day anyways. And so that is the best way to be coming at this, as a profession, in my opinion. So yeah, hopefully that was in some way helpful. All right, cool. Chris says, why don't you run a Krown's actively traded fund? If you do, I want to invest. I don't have any any at all interest in doing anything like that, because first and foremost, I can just trade my own money, and I can, any money that I make, I get to keep all by myself. If I manage a fund, then I'm trading other people's money, not getting as much as I would if I probably would have traded myself anyways. And then I have the added fucking pressure of having essentially a boss. So absolutely not. I mean, that sounds awful. That sounds absolutely awful. And that's Krown crypto fund, to be clear. Look, man, I'd probably just only put it in Bitcoin or Ethereum anyways. It's like, there you fucking go. If I was going to do that, probably wouldn't even touch it too much as well, to be honest with you. But no, man, I have no interest in ever doing that. I would never want to trade other people's money. I've done it in the past, and it is honestly a bigger headache than just trading your own money. To have to answer to someone else and explain what the hell you're doing is like, especially to someone who might not be as trading, wise. It's just going to be a fucking headache, to be honest. And I'm not saying that to be like mean or anything. It's just, that is the reality of it. It's like, look, man, I don't even need to trade anymore, to be honest with you. So I do it more or less to kind of hone the skills. But my trading accounts now, like I've lessened my trading size by about a factor of 10 at this point. I don't need to trade big size anymore in order to kind of just get my feet wet and make sure that I don't lose the skill of it. And I'm also like not necessarily looking for that added pressure, and again, like if I really wanted the money, I'd just trade more of my own money. I don't want to trade anyone else's money. I mean, shit, like even then, like I don't even know if I could trade more money than what I've already traded, because I don't have experience with doing that. Like if you gave me a fund of like 100 million or 500 million or a billion plus, I don't know if my strategies scale to that. They probably don't. They probably don't. So yeah, man, probably not the wisest idea. It sounds cool, and I appreciate, and I do understand that is in some way like a compliment. So I do appreciate that. But no, man, I've no interest in doing that. So like, also, this is a good time to remind people, look, if you're getting a fucking message from like some scammy type of Krown crypto, I don't know, imposter asking to like trade your funds because I found this amazing opportunity, it's not fucking me, man. I'll never ask you for that. I'm not interested. World of Dragon Ball says HNT USDT daily and weekly, please. Sure, man. Okay, HNT. All right, let's see what we got over here. Interesting chart here. Okay, very, very, very interesting. Yeah, not relatively weak. One of the better altcoin charts, actually. Very, very interesting. Yeah, this one didn't get hit nearly as hard as most of the other altcoins, and did not close on new lows as well below our initial May lows. Very, very interesting. This one would be relatively strong in my book as far as altcoin goes. So you have an obvious low side of your range right there. Looks like I've already got the high side right there. I'd be looking for this one to trade up short term towards like 14 and a quarter, 14 and a half region. Yeah, man, good on you for finding one of the better altcoins. Weekly is sloppy as fuck here. I really don't have a strong opinion on the weekly. Look, it's going to depend on which way Bitcoin goes as far as direction goes here. Now, I do favor the upside here for Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin heads to the upside, maybe tags into like the mid or deep $40,000 territory, I'd be looking for this one to trade up somewhere around like, the high side of the range, like $18 or so. Other than that, I probably wouldn't say too much other things, but yeah, it definitely deserves its own merits. I mean, this is certainly better than the strong majority of altcoins that we've seen, barring a couple like fucking Hex, which is just I don't know what the hell Hex is doing. So fair enough. All right, Toby1 Hextoby says, if you hold any ERC20, you get the same number of those tokens on the Pulse network. Buy yourself a Wagyu burger on me. I'll do it, man. I'm in. Your course has got me out of the 90% hole from 2018. Fucking nice, man. That's what I like to hear. And then Hex staking has me retiring this year. All right, it's like I can't argue with that, man. I can't argue with that. That's fucking awesome, man. That's fucking awesome. I mean, from wrecked. 3 years from wreck to retiring. What the hell? You need to write a book, man. That's what you need to do. From wrecked to retiring. There you go. That's amazing, man. Sounds like Heck's been pretty damn good. 40% APY, is that real? I feel like I'm doing a sales pitch right now, but I am curious, like, is that real? That sounds a little bit too good to be true. What the fuck? 40%? Okay, that's like... Dare I say that's like BitConnect? What the fuck? What? 40%? Well, hold on. What? Nimbo says, but Krown, you asked me to send you those BTC and I confirmed it on your WhatsApp message. Question mark. Well, I can't say for sure that it's a scam, but I can tell you that it's definitely not me. And it definitely has a lot of the markings of a scam. Nate says, can you check out Silver? Yeah. Silver has been doing pretty damn well here too. XAG USD on, I guess, forex.com. Remember this one was put in a nice range. Yeah, I'm still bullish on this one, man. Very, very good chart. Very, very good chart. Okay, so you're saying, I think I can accumulate more at $26 of these silver rocks, or is it getting ready to break out? This one's pretty mature within its consolidation. Let's see, BBWP on the weekly is already trending up. Daily is no, I don't know if you get another test down. It's $26. I know what you're looking at right here. Maybe you do, but this would be kind of what I'm looking for a potential breakout. You got daily BBWP on the fucking floor. Weekly is already kind of turning up here too, and trending up, to be fair, as well. All momentum oscillators are bullish here. Maybe you get another move down to like 27, but I do think that 26 is maybe 26 and a half if lucky, but I don't think 26. No, I think this one's a lot closer to breaking out than not. Monthly's bullish. Look, I don't know. I mean, look, if you're trying to trade this, I mean, maybe you do consider like a small position here, and then maybe like add a little bit lower if you do get it. You know, it's, let's see, you do have a bit of hidden div right there on the daily, so maybe you do get $27. I don't think that's out of the question. Neither is $26. Man, I'm really split on this one. Look, the long term, I think, is easy here. The long term is this one wants to trade up towards 33, maybe even more of a time. It looks very good. I don't have a strong opinion on that, man. I actually don't have a strong opinion on that. If I had to say, there's more signals that one's very, very mature within its consolidation and probably does leg up from here than not. If I had to like say, but I'm not. I wouldn't like put my whole fucking faith in that. Long term, though, I feel a lot more confident on. BK to say, Krown, can you look at Matic USD on the 4 hour and daily? Entry is still at 190. Okay, let's 4 hour and daily, huh? All right, let's see what we got over here. Okay, daily. It was looking good. You entered at one. Sir, why? No, it's still one of the better charts here. Yeah, I do think that has some upside, probably up to like 175. You're still in the hole though, as long as you're below this area right here. Look, you know, if Bitcoin pulls through here, this one's going to pull through as well, and you probably do get back around your entry. And this is still, you know, one of the better charts. We do have a series of higher lows here. Weekly's kind of a little bit on the sloppier side, but monthly's not bearish, man. I do think that you will probably trade back up towards your entry and probably make new all-time highs in the coming months, but yeah, I think I'll just leave it right there. I mean, look, in the future, you might want to consider that if you're going to enter, I'm assuming right around here, when you start to break structure a little bit, even on like a 12 hour in this case, it's better to take the position off and reposition lower if you really, really want it. You can always do that, man. There's always going to be an opportunity for that, but I think the 12 hour is rather compelling here with suggesting that, hey, look, the second that you lose fucking 180, like this thing's coming down, you know, at least to like 140, 150-ish region. But for now, yeah, I would be favoring some upside. I think it's probably going to trade back up to around your entry, and then, you know, it depends what Bitcoin does. But this is still one of the better charts long term. Monthly, there's nothing bearish about that long term. So, you know, maybe over the next three to 4 months, this one guns for new all-time highs. But just maybe something to consider in the future. All right, how deep into this stream are we? We're 2 hours into the stream. All right, let's see what Solvereign said over here. Oh dear Lord. Okay, so last time you hammered me a bit for asking about Frontline and not trading easier stocks like Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, but why should I trade those stocks on NASDAQ instead of the likes of Google, Frontline? Oh, that's on SIBO BZX. That looks way better than NAS at the moment. Well, look, the general idea, man, is it basically sounds like you're trying to invest in like long-term stocks. Maybe I'm wrong on that assumption, but if you're investing in long-term stocks, you reward the ones that have been doing well. Look, if you're looking at fucking where's my favorite one, Microsoft. Where the fuck did I put this piece of shit? There we go. Look, a good stock continues to be a good stock in a good environment. The bad stocks will get absolutely fucking hammered in a bad environment. But even through the 2020 dump right here, I mean, look, this one recovered almost immediately and then just straight to the fucking moon after that. And it's basically been doing that since the eternity of its history. This is why you want to reward good stocks. They're going to perform better in a healthy market. And when you look for like these shitty stocks that just get absolutely fucking smacked, they're going to get absolutely fucking smacked again when you do see any sort of an event or any sort of a market downturn. So that's kind of my point with that. If you're looking for just short-term trades, it doesn't really matter. I mean, short-term, like maybe you're in and out on the same day, like who cares? But if you're looking at long-term investing, which I think you are, because usually you ask about very high-term timeframes, then this would be my very just blunt answer to you is like, look, this is the real chart. This is the linear scale. You can trade that and make your life easier. You can trade fucking, I don't know, what's some of the things that you were asking for? Frontline. Okay, well, let's compare that to Frontline. see. Front line, okay. Yeah, I rest my case. Look, man, good stocks don't do shit like this. They just don't do shit like this, man. The problem is also when you're trading something like this and you're holding it for a long term, there's all the fucking people for all of this area right here that are probably just looking to sell at break even or maybe for a little bit of a loss. You have to chew through all of that. Whereas you look at a Microsoft, it just keeps on going up. It just keeps on fucking going up. It's like, this is like good stocks just don't do shit like this. I mean, this one can rally up and put in like a great rally, even all the way to like $36 and still be a piece of shit. You know, that's my problem with it. You know, this one is completely uninteresting as long as it's below even like 120. Shit, I'd even say like below 100. I mean, it's just a god awful stock, but does it have some upside here? Yeah, it has some upside. You know, the general market has some upside, but look, you had, look, we'll do a little bit of this, right? Okay, you have a little bit of time going to the upside right there. What was Microsoft doing that time? You know, you compare these two stocks, it's like, okay, this one, we got this one, and we got this one. Which one do you want? I think that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make, but maybe I misunderstand exactly what you're asking. Maybe you're asking more so for like a quick trade, or like you're just trying to notice something that's, you know, likely to give you a nice move. Perhaps that's it. But if you're talking about long-term investing, which I typically think you're going to be talking about if you're asking about like a monthly or like a weekly, for example, then I'm looking at the long term, and I just don't see the obsession with like looking for the shittiest stock possible because you think it's just going to pop up like a little bit and go from there. All right. Let's see. Are we done with the comments today? Nope. I think we got one more. Second Dominus says, I'm sorry for whatever, man, but I love you. It's all good, man. Love you too, sir. It's all good, man. Okay, so I think we'll probably leave it there. We're already 2 hours into this bitch. Quite the stream there. Pretty fun. Anyways, okay, so let's wrap this up for a little bit of a second here. We've already looked at Hex a million times, man. It's best chart in cryptocurrency, probably going to 10 cents. Anyways, Bitcoin higher low, and we do have a potential to make a higher high above our range highs, perhaps even today. I do think that Bitcoin will take a stab up towards about $42,000 to $43,000, maybe a short-term pullback from there, plays down somewhere around like, I don't know, $39,000 or maybe even $40,000 base. Ultimately, though, that would, with any sort of a move back above 40,900, set up for further continuation, maybe over the next few weeks towards 45, or you know, anywhere around the deep $40,000 territory of these two areas marked off right here. This is a short-term one. For a short-term pullback, maybe plays between there and 40,000. And then long-term, this is my major area where I'd be a little bit cautious of any sort of weakness, as Bitcoin, you know, does have several things that do still suggest that at the very best, it plays out a range between these levels, as I've been saying for the past few weeks here. But at least for now, you know, I do think that Bitcoin has a little more upside here. And generally speaking, I have no real reason to be even short-term bearish on Bitcoin as long as it's above $38,000 now. So we could also move up simultaneously the point for downside, like major downside continuation to this potential higher low at 35.5 on a daily closure. But for right now, yeah, I do favor the upside here. I want to see three things to denote a macro low in Bitcoin. Again, that would be the daily, or not the daily, but over here on the hash ribbons, I want to see a blue buy signal. We do not have that just yet. In fact, we are very far away from getting it. The other one would be a higher low and a higher high. We perhaps even get that today. That would be good on the daily right here. And then BBWP, personally speaking, I'd like to see it come a little bit lower towards the single digits. But for right now, technically speaking, it is sprucing back up. And so we are looking at the very least at a short and medium term continuation move here. Ultimately, though, I do think the general idea, unless, or at least my general disposition, is unchanged. Bitcoin plays at a range between $30,000 and $50,000 for, you know, the next 2 to 3 months, and then potentially sets it up for long-term continuation on top of that. But the second that we break back down below, let's call it $35,000 now, that is not going to be interpreted very, very well by the market, and probably, you know, opens back up the targets down to mid to low $20,000 territory. Anyways, with that said, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really, really fun time today, and take care. See you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it, burn it, pump it, hack it, quick rename it, take it, type it, live it, dream it, post